So I was lucky enough today to get out with a veteran. It's a guy you've seen before. He has absolutely been in the boat with me before, but I adore fishing with Jeff. I adore fishing with him for a bunch of reasons. But one of the biggest is because we can talk about, some of those experiences being in the military, but we can also talk about nothing at all. We are fantastic at talking about nothing at all. So it has not certainly gone quite the way we intended. We managed to twist a prop earlier.
Yep.
And
Twist
we managed
the whole prop.
Yeah, the whole prop.
Yeah.
Why just do it, halfway? Let's do it the whole way.
That's right.
But we didn't get too excited about it. We worked through that, similar to all that time and experience that says if it's not life and death, it's not that big a deal. But we have been lucky enough. We got fantastic gear. We got Ardent that has performed all day. I know this is the first time I've been able to put that in your hand. And we've got some other folks that are huge proponents of veterans, and that's stuff that interests me. Between Vector does an incredible job supporting veterans, and Pulse Fishing. Highly recommend all of those. But what I want you to understand is the things that I talk about, even if it's talking brands, I'm only talking about things that I believe in, things that I actually have used, have had opportunities with. It's all stuff I believe in. If I can bring anything to the digital world, I hope that it's that sincerity that I'm not going to tell you about stuff I don't believe in. But I'm always looking for input on what do people actually want to hear? What do they want to talk about? And Jeff, you've been fantastic for that. So you want to tell them what some of the ideas we got coming up are?
So, for starters, I've known Dustin for a little over a year now.
Yeah.
Over a year. And he's active duty military. I'm prior Georgia Army National Guard. Don't hate me for it. If you're active duty Army, I understand. I didn't do motor pool Mondays, so it's not fair. I agree. That being said, we've known each other for about a year, and coming from a background where I literally had almost no fishing experience, being brand new, meeting Dustin and becoming really good friends, Dustin said, well, I have a bass boat and I have gear, and there's a lake 20 minutes west of where you live in Columbia, South Carolina. We should go fishing. And I was like, well, I don't really know. I don't know anything about fishing, to be honest. I didn't even really know how to tie a fisherman's knot, much less cast a reel. So Dustin takes me out, and we've talked before about the Poseidon journey, but the real meat and potatoes of the story was he took me out and showed me a new skill. On his own dime, he paid for the gas. He brought his own stuff. I didn't have to pay for anything except for a few snacks, but it was mostly for me anyway. And it was an experience that got me into fishing, but not just got me into fishing, it gave me an outlet to actually get outdoors. And that all being said, being new to fishing is really difficult, especially in today's world, because we're so locked onto our phones and we're so locked into like the digital world, that getting out, it used to be you could meet people out in the real world and then you could get real world advice from them when we became friends. But now, because we live in this digital world, it's easier to get advice on YouTube or Instagram because it's a lot more accessible. So one of the ideas I had for Dustin's channel is to do just that, to do what he did for me, to teach the difference between, a swim bait jig and a chatterbait jig, right?
Oh,
Close?
no, I just had them right here at the boat.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
As I'm talking about this?
Yep.
That would have been perfect. That would have been perfect. Just recast that and go get him. So, I think that it's really important for someone like Dustin who has fishing experience on both sides of the world to share his experience, but also share his knowledge, because there's a lot of people out there that are too scared to approach someone and ask them, or go to Bass Pro Shops or Sportsman Outdoors and ask someone who works there. To get it on an authority of someone like Dustin, who obviously knows what he's talking about because he can show you, I think that would make great content. You know, a lot of fishing channels out there, it's great because you can watch them catch, you know, 5, 6, 10-pound fish all day long, but you don't get the opportunity to really learn from them, to really learn like the difference between lures, the difference between rods, a medium heavy rod or a medium rod, or rod lengths, or reel types and reel ratios, and you know, the list goes on. So that was one of the ideas, but the big idea that I had was Dustin is an Air Force active duty member right now, and he's on his way to becoming a veteran. God bless you, Dustin, because you did your time. And so the big idea that I had was, because Dustin is obviously pro-vet because of his life experience, is to take veterans out and to talk about their experience in whatever service they were, whatever federal service they were, either while they're fishing or after they're fishing, or what have you. And I think that it's a great idea, because most veterans that you meet, if you're not also a veteran, they're not going to open up about their experience, because off the cuff they know that maybe you won't understand, and they don't want to explain everything, and it's like talking a different language. And so talking to a vet as a vet, I think, is extremely important. I think Dustin would agree that it's not just about the vernacular, but it's about the personal experience that you may have had, all the way down to just basic training, right? Or boot camp. Try to explain it to a civilian and who has no military experience, and it's kind of lost on them, much less a deployment in a combat environment. Me, myself, I deployed to Afghanistan in 2018 and 2019. I was in Iraq in 2020. That was as a contractor with the Army, and you know, it was an experience, to say the least. But I would say that if there's any veterans out there that are having any issues with PTSD or depression or any other mental health issues, like, go fishing. Go find a friend to go fishing with. Find someone like Dustin who can take you out, or not even have to take you out. Go find a bank and go buy a couple Walmart rods and some pink worms and go fishing with them.
Or find Dustin.
Or find Dustin. That would be way easier. That would be much easier. Because I'm here to tell you, we have not caught one fish today. Now, Dustin might lie to you, because I'm going to lie to my wife and say that I caught at least 3 fish.
Well, come on now. We did put one on camera just a minute ago.
Yeah, no fish in the boat. I had a pretty good hit early this morning, and then the tension on the rod wasn't exactly what, or on the reel wasn't exactly what it should have been, and she got away. But that being said, I think that fishing is a key outdoor experience that every veteran could benefit from, including myself. And I'm the first person to say that when I really latched onto it, I bought a fishing kayak. I'm excited to take it out next season. You know, I bought my own rods, my own reels, bought my own fishing tackle, and even just going out by myself, as I was saying before, how we didn't catch any fish. One of the things that me and Dustin say on the boat quite a bit is there's no bad day fishing, and that's really the truth. That's not just a, you know, I'm going to be positive today mindset. Like, that is the truth. We have done nothing but joke and make each other laugh, and there are times when we just cast for 5-10 minutes and not say anything, and we don't really have to, because we're fishing. It's something that we get to bond over, both as veterans and friends and fellow outdoorsmen. And I'm lucky enough to be able to use Dustin's beautiful bass boat that, as we both know, can handle quite a bit of punishment, to include 10-foot waves and and a bent prop. So that's all to say that I think that Dustin has something really good going on here, especially tapping into the veteran community, because as a person who's connected to the digital world, I've seen a lot of fishing channels on YouTube. I've watched a lot of fishing online, and I think one of the things that is wildly underrepresented, because I know we're not the only two veterans that fish, that's certainly not the case. And I think that something that's really underrepresented is the veteran community in fishing, and the fishing community supporting veterans. And I think that that's something that honestly that Dustin can staple down on his channel, which is, like I said before, the concept of taking a veteran out fishing, because mental health, talking about their experience in whatever service they were in. I think that that intangible is priceless, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, that's really all I have to say about that, because I just got my lure stuck on the power pole. Speaking of new to fishing.
But you bring up a lot of fantastic points. And really, between the internet and the purpose behind all of this, when all of that started, the idea was to try and connect people, to get people together. And you talked about veterans and how we view things differently and communicate differently. My favorite was your use of, doesn't it bother you when they say FOB? Don't say FOB in a movie. They say forward operating base.
Yeah, and no one says that.
Oh yeah, absolutely drives me bananas.
No one who is deployed overseas says forward operating base. No one. No one.
Not even the person that came up with the acronym.
No, they say FOB. People stay on FOBs. FOB.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But the way that veterans communicate differs dramatically from the average population. And you also brought up having an opportunity to tell stories, to share, to communicate with people that understand you. And everybody, absolutely everybody, is looking for that. And again, I'm always open to what do we want to talk about, whether it's from you or from internet land. What do you want to talk about? What matters to you?
What would you like to see on the channel?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because the reality is, with me, it is not just fishing. Anybody that knows me personally knows that it is not just fishing. There is going to be some long-winded story at some point about something that ties directly to a scenario that we are experiencing right now. And my favorite part is, you may not always know how we're going to get there, but at the end we always get to the point. So it isn't just fishing. It's about finding people where they are and communicating from there. Finding a way to communicate with people that have trouble connecting, have trouble communicating. That's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. And do it by talking about things I know, talking about things that I like, things that I use. That at least starts the conversation. Makes it a two-way street.
I would say that Dustin knows me. I'm a pretty straight shooter, and I am who I am unapologetically. And I would say that Dustin is one of the most genuine people I have met, because when he cares about something, like he says he cares about something, he does care. And he doesn't talk about what he doesn't care about. And he doesn't talk about what he doesn't want to talk about. And that's something we connect over, how honest and candid Dustin is. It really resonates with me, especially when we're on the boat and I'm getting pissed off because we're not catching anything. Not today, but or everything is going wrong, right? Like the time that I caught, I must have caught every tree at Lake Murray and not one fish with my rod. Getting snags or missing fish or bird's nest, old lucky bird's nest, getting backlashes on the reels, which I'm here to tell you I've only gotten a couple on the reels that we're using today by Ardent, right?
Yeah.
And
it's the Summit Hawk.
they're very, very smooth. I'm a fan so far. More of a fan if I could use my own capability to use the rod and reel to catch a fish, but I'm still a fan. And so anything that Dustin talks about on this channel, anything that Dustin, makes a video on, I think is coming from a sincere place, and that's really one of the biggest things that I respect about him. And I think that goes a long way, especially in today's world where in content creation, they're more worried about what's going to get views and they're less worried about what they care about.
You're gonna make me blush, and I'm not good at it. And I don't take compliments well, as you know. But the fact that you would be willing to say any of that, I appreciate more than you know.
It's the truth, brother. It's the truth.
I absolutely respect you in ways that I can't put into words, and that goes back to the community, the fellowship, the time spent in a safe place. And unfortunately, there's not enough of those. There's not enough safe places. There's not enough people to connect to. And the old adage, there aren't enough listening ears in the world.
Absolutely.
Because I will be the first to say that bitching is an inherent right to soldiering.
Which is something we do well.
Absolutely.
Something we do really well. Complain. We definitely complain well.
But that mechanism makes sure that teapot stays at a simmer. You're always on heat in life. There's always going to be stress. There's always going to be things going on. And a little bit of stress isn't bad. But what happens when that teapot is on heat long enough? It goes from a flutter to a full-out scream.
That's right.
And there've been enough times that you've been able to talk me off the ledge, and likewise. And that's what it's about. Legitimately connecting, developing a community of people to support you. But I really like all of those ideas. I think that we can find a way to apply all of that. And if it is getting into the minutia of you're throwing a underspin, I'm throwing a pulse jig. What's the difference? Talking about an underspin, what does that look like?
Which I'd like to say, I really like that pulse jig. I really like that pulse jig a lot. It's like a mix between like a floppy swim bait, a soft bait, and a chatterbait. Except it doesn't have that metal on it, so it's not as violent when you pull it, when you reel it in, when you retrieve it.
Yeah.
I really like that a lot. I want to throw that in there real quick.
And again, when we start getting into the fall, and I don't know how you call this winter.
Yeah.
It was 70 degrees today?
Pseudo winter. Yeah.
Pretend winter.
Wannabe winter.
Yeah. Other places, they get this really weird thing. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the water changes and you drive on it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, man. Not living in South Carolina. I'm not familiar with that.
Well, other places, they can't access their fish without drilling holes. That's a real thing. It's kind of like ninjas. You got to watch out for them.
You don't see them until they're there.
Yeah, that's right. But I do sincerely appreciate that feedback. I do appreciate that direction, because like I told you before, the idea is not to be noise. The idea is to be value added, to be be something that benefits somebody. It doesn't even matter if it's one person.
Yeah.
If you can change the world for one person, and I'm not saying that fishing changes the world, but what I am saying is that perhaps one of the idle ramblings that we come across is of benefit. You know, don't take things too seriously. If it's not a life and death emergency, don't get too excited about it. Work your way through it.
100%.
How to eat an elephant.
One bite at a time, baby.
So it's just a matter of figuring it out, one step at a time. Wait till the emergency is solved and then worrying about panicking.
That's right.
Solve the problem first. You can cut for a minute.